Welcome back to Ring of Fire. I'm Mike Papantonio. Law schools in America have lost their way. They're now more concerned with making money than they are with training high-quality, honest trial lawyers. Joining me now to tell us how this affects the American justice system is attorney Howard Nations. Howard, law schools are doing very well, but law students these days are not doing all that well. Talk about what the problem is.
Well, the American Bar Association has a committee that does a study every year, and they study three things. One, law school enrollment. Two, the cost of attendance. And three, the employment of law school grads. Now, law schools themselves are doing great. Tuition over the last 5 years has gone from $34,298 to $40,634 on average. That outpaces inflation by $3,000 over the last 5 years. Enrollment peaked in 2010 at 52,488, but it's still holding very steady at very high levels. The bleak part comes in the employment. The white shoe firms are cutting back. Instead of hiring a large numbers, they're cutting back on the number of lawyers.
Now, when you say white shoe firms, you're talking about the silk stocking corporate types that, you know,
exactly.
They bill these young lawyers like, they treat them like cattle, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah, they make them bill 2,000 hours a year, and they bill their time at, they pay them a pittance of what they bill their time for. The big problem with the employment, aside from the fact that it's not there, is that the student debt for many people has reached an astronomical $200,000. So that's just that combination is just deadly.
Isn't one problem that we're seeing in the law school? First of all, I know you interview young lawyers just like I do. Lately, I have been more and more disappointed on their depth of knowledge. They can talk about what they call the law and economics, which is it's an aberration. It's ridiculous to the point that a law student used to think about societal changes, cultural changes, justice, fairness, taking care of the little guy. Now that's been turned on its head by Judge Posner, hasn't it?
Yes, it actually has. I know when we started the law school, we were thinking in terms of Brown versus Board of Education and the social impact of Baker versus Carr reapportioning 37 legislatures to get equal representation and fairness and justice to all citizens. Now it's all about law and economics. This is an offshoot of the Chicago School of Economics. The concept is that the utility of legal rules should be judged by should be analyzed and judged by their ability to promote economically efficient outcomes. So it's all about economics as opposed to justice, equity, or just basic fairness.
Well, Howard, what you're seeing is the same thing I am. As these kids are coming out of law school, they're going to the big corporation kind of law firms where they're paid hardly anything for billable hours. And the idea that they're taught with this new concept of law school, what I call the Posner concept, the law and economics concept, is that greed is good, and that their role as a lawyer should be to do everything they can to make sure that that corporation they work for makes as much money as possible, regardless of the harm that they do. There's no fairness, there's no justice, there's no looking out for the little guy anymore. Most of these kids coming out of law school right now, they want to go to the corporate firm, they want to play golf, they want to be part of the country club, they want to be accepted by the Rotary Club right there in town. Then they could not give a damn less about taking care of people the same way that young lawyers used to care about when they'd come out of law school. Now, that's a broad generalization, but I'm just telling you that's what I'm personally seeing, and that's what many lawyers that work around me have to say about what they're seeing as well.
Well, where that comes from, Mike, is Judge Richard Posner, who, when he was a law professor back in 1970, he wrote an article called Economic Analysis of Law, in which he basically launched an attack on the common law courses of contracts and property and torts. And the idea that they should be, the purpose of them should be to achieve equity and justice. What he said was that it's the promotion of economic efficiency is what law should be all about. And he, for example, in a contract case, the idea is to maximize the financial reward between the parties. That's what he wrote. You shouldn't look at it in terms of who breached the contract, how much were the damages. who owes who what, you should maximize financial reward between the parties. So if you have a $100 million dispute, his idea was, well, let's keep it fair. Let's just give $50 million to each party. That's why we don't try cases to judges. Judges have a tendency to split the baby, while juries will try to render justice and be fair.
Well, now Howard, think about what Posner is saying. Posner is saying we don't care which is the more corrupt corporation. We don't care what the hell they've done. We don't care who they've trampled on, what they've done to lie, cheat, or steal. As long as the economics of it comes out okay, we don't really care about social justice issues. We care more about the greed factor, that greed is good as the corporation must make more money.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But you know, the effect of that is Judge Posner, he's a judge because he's now in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. Judge Posner is now the most frequently cited legal thinker in history. That shows you the nature and extent of his power. But the other side of that coin is the conservative side is to teach critical legal studies. You learn the law, you learn the skills, you learn to apply the law, with the concept being that you try to achieve justice and fairness and equality. But in the first year of law school now, you find out that those are naive concepts, that the real goal is a smooth running market. And so the law schools today denigrate the workaday practice. They glorify oiling the machine. In 1982, Professor Duncan Kennedy came out with a polemic against this system, and he recognized and attacked Posner's position on law econ. What he said was, we're now training ideologically for service in the corporate welfare state. That's
and
how
you know
we're
what,
raising our kids.
And Howard, the bad news is you and I are seeing it firsthand in the courtroom when we see some of these kids in the way they view the world. Howard Nations, thank you for joining me, okay?
My pleasure, Mike.